Good afternoon. It is December 1st, 2025. You're listening to a Little Column A, Little Column B, hosted by Will Alimonos and co-hosted by Zach Bishop. How are you doing today, buddy?
What is going on, Will? Happy Thanksgiving. I don't know if I watched more sports or ate more food, but either way, both of it was awesome. What do you think you did more of? Did you eat more food or did you watch more sports?
I'm still eating more food. I watched a lot of sports. It was a good sports time. I'm still eating dessert for breakfast. Is anyone else still doing that? I mean, what else am I supposed to do with it? I don't have room for it after the meal. I'm like fitting it in as a new meal. It's the new start of the day.
I for a while now have not been eating nearly as much dessert as I previously would have, just because I'm eating more of the regular food. But yeah, the dessert is much more of a later in the night and the next days of going back and going, oh man, I didn't even see this over there. So yeah, definitely still eating leftovers over here.
Nothing wrong with leftovers. I think it's the only meal with the good leftovers. I'm not downplaying other meals, but this is the one where I'm just as excited the next day as I was the Thanksgiving day. Well, there was some good football though, and I did get a little eye contact on some of it. Right, there was a lot going on. We hosted quite the event this year. I know you were at a larger gathering as well. It was a lot of people, so I didn't get to watch these games as much. I had to play a little bit of catch up, but we're here for the podcast and we're ready. It was a just crazy day to begin with, though. Like, we're going to talk Dallas right now. Dallas won. Dallas beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs might miss the playoffs. There's a lot of teams right now that might miss the playoffs. Is there anything that stands out that was like actually the most shocking thing?
Oh, well, what stands out to me is that I made a parlay. I said it was a pretty square parlay, but not only did I lose the parlay, I lost every single leg of that parlay. All of the underdogs hit. You had a whole bunch of underdog first halves, which I don't know if it was better off the first half or for the game, but either way, those would have cashed. That was just throughout the day. Just like you said, you're busy, you're keeping an eye on the game, it's going down. None of these were like not like crazy, surprises. These were all like decent teams, but just that every time you're going in, and then this kind of even bleeds into the Friday game, that you're just going, oh, okay, well, the Chiefs are going to get their act together. The Chiefs will get their act together. Second half team, they're going against Dallas. They're going to get it together, and then they just don't. And then later on, it's really the Bengals are going to keep scoring. Joe Burrow still got it. So I think it's the combination more than one individual game on the surprise meter for me.
There were a lot of surprises. I can't wait to get to all of them. I don't know which one was the best one, but the Cowboys being an actual potential threat right now is still shocking to me. I mean, we go just a couple of podcasts ago, we were making fun of this team. I'm still making fun of this team. Now I'm making fun of the entire league because this is one of the possible threats of this league is the Dallas Cowboys. This is a league that has now let the Bears be on top, and if the Patriots win tonight, the Patriots are going to be on top. Today's December 1st, Zach. You got to start taking this seriously at some point. I think that was the real wake-up call, is that now there's this weird window of, well, I guess it's not Detroit. It's probably not Kansas City. I don't know about Buffalo. The sure things that you thought were definitely going to be there are more than likely not going to be there. It's anyone's game. Does anyone stand out as like a true front runner to you, or does it really feel like, I don't know, as a Pats fan, maybe?
Part of it is you just got to get in. So get in there. That's just first thing. And so we're in a spot to do that. It's not. I'm going to call it not comfortably, but as long as there's not like some sort of major collapse, should be in the playoffs, no problem. And if we can kind of keep chugging along, we get the 1 seed. If you get the 1 seed, you don't have to play that first game. It's just one less chance for something to go wrong. So it's just it's a guaranteed win. We're used to having the high seeds back in the day, but I agree with you. I've just been waiting. It's like, well, the Chiefs are going to turn it around at some point. They're going to turn it around at some point. They have Patrick Mahomes in his prime. They're going to turn it around at some point, and they haven't. I mean, I would still be concerned about them. You'll have to play them in the playoffs, even though they're sneaking in at this point. I didn't think at this point of the year we'd be talking about how the Chiefs are one game ahead of the Dolphins, who, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we were thinking, I think they're going to pack it in. They're going to pack it in. They already fired their GM. They're going to just clean house, start tanking for next year. Not that they're going to make the playoffs, but they're not getting a top pick.
Miami's weird, where everyone wanted to fire the coach. They fire the GM, and They have a couple more wins in their back pocket. And now the funny thing is they're getting punished for winning, where they're like, why are you guys winning? We already mailed the season in. This is bad. This isn't good. I think it's fine. I think Darren Waller coming back is exciting for them. And just to have anything to cheer for is something. And you can't go an entire year without wins. I think it helps, even if it's not going to help this year.
I didn't think going into week 12, Thanksgiving Day, maybe coming out of Thanksgiving, where last year at this point is when the Bears fired their head coach and seemed destined for a long rebuild, and really it was not a long rebuild. And now they're number one in the NFC, and the Patriots are number one in the AFC. Just would not have expected that. Not even would have expected it a month ago. Would have expected it at the beginning of the year. Wouldn't have expected it in the offseason.
Well, did you expect me to beat you in the picks this week? Because I think I got you by one. I think that's 2 weeks in a row.
I think you got me by 2. I think this is 2 weeks in a row that I've given up some ground.
Oh wow! All right, we're getting a little bit closer. I really don't care about all that. I was way more excited that I went 3 for 3 on the first half bets. All the underdogs just crush, all plus money. That's good. That's good bets. That's good money, right? That's good business. That's how you get the sponsor, right? You do things like that.
If you're making money, that's the way to do it.
All right. Well, let's make some more money. Do we have some more bets this week?
Yes, I'm trying to turn things around. So when we get to that game, I'll mention my bet.
All right, we might turn things around Thursday. The Dallas Cowboys at the Detroit Lions. We talked about them maybe being a real threat. Are the vibes really that bad in Detroit? Like, are you? Is it over? Like everyone's like it's just over.
I don't think it's over. I think that they're not nearly where they wanted to be. But I mention this all the time about expectations. They were thinking they're coming in. If they weren't a Super Bowl favorite, they were definitely going to be in the mix. Where maybe that's the same thing that Cowboys fans were thinking, but in general, a little more delusional. So I think it's just a matter of the Lions have the better record. Lions are at home, and you actually have to play the game. It's not, oh man, we're the Dallas like, oh we're playing better than anybody expected. So I think this week, this is where the Lions at home. There's only a few weeks left. Really got to lock in, and if they have any chance of really making the playoffs, winning a playoff game, you have to be able to beat the Cowboys.
I think they'll enjoy beating the Cowboys this week. I think the Cowboys are going to try, and they'll give it a shot, and then Detroit will wake up. Now, that being said, Detroit might need a little bit of a wake-up call in that first half. I would not be shocked if Dallas was up in this first half. So I'm going to continue the underdog first half bet by taking Dallas plus 130 in the first half. There's possible real spice here with this Dallas thing. Like, if they just score and this offense just works, and Detroit, for some reason, hasn't been able to figure that out, is there any chance that they just run away with it again and the Detroit falls down and this has got to be some sort of comeback again? It always feels like it's a comeback now and not a lead that they have.
Maybe I don't see the Cowboys continuing to put solid full games together.
What if we just can't stop those receivers?
It's possible. The Cowboys position players, they're all on your fantasy team. You know who they are, but it's more of what we kind of thought maybe Cincinnati coming in was, hey, we know the offense. We know the quarterback. We know the receivers. We know the running backs. But the defense, like, uh-oh. So I think that's just what it's come down to is the defense able to just hold on just enough? They don't have to hold them to single digits. But, even in this game that they won, it is Mahomes. It's the Chiefs. But it's still giving up 28 points. It's still a lot.
All right, so despite all the evidence in this entire conversation, we're both going Detroit.
Going with the Lions.
All right, next game, Seattle Seahawks at the Atlanta Falcons. I believe they call this a tune-up game, right? Or no, that was last week. That was Seattle versus Minnesota. That was the tune-up game. How many tune-up games is Seattle going to get here? All right, that was embarrassing. Darnold didn't even throw a touchdown, I think. I think he had 3 points in fantasy, and this was a 26-0 game. All defense. This is complete defense. What are we doing here? Should we work on the schedule? Like, do we have too many bad teams in the league?
It was a very bad performance by a quarterback in Brosmer when people are thinking, well, you know what? Maybe J.J. McCarthy isn't the worst quarterback in the room. And coming off of last week was, this guy is terrible. Something about, if he had just, every time he had gotten the ball, and rather than actually pass it, just threw it directly into the ground, basically spiked it, he would have a better QBR than what he actually turned out with because of the turnovers. So sounds like JJ is out of the concussion protocol. No more symptoms, so he is going to be playing. But man, I think this has I think Seattle is good. I think they're a good team, but going against this new quarterback, that was awful. That was awful. The Vikings quarterback room is just terrible. I I I I think they're gonna beat the Falcons, but I think it's just a combination of that. Seattle is good, and the Falcons are just not very good.
Almost winning is how many wins? What is that worth? Almost really
No
no
wins.
wins, man.
No wins.
I think they almost win this week again. And so I got Seattle.
I mean, the Falcons. They lost to the Jets. They lost to Nick Folk. Nick Folk's kind of old, and he just barely kind of snuck that in. I mean, the Jets are basically a tanking team, and maybe they just decided, hey, well, you know what? We're never going to catch the Titans. The Titans are all the way bad. So yeah, we could win this, but as a Falcons fan, you just got to be so disappointed.
The fall kick, it was almost like a soccer goal where it was like top right corner. And it was like, no, bottom right corner, where it's just as close to both the crossbar and then the sidebar. And it actually doesn't even go that high. It just sails straight. Insane kick. Insane kick. But if you're
There was
Atlanta,
not a lot
though,
of room for error there.
if you're Atlanta and that's kind of a weird way to lose. So, I say almost winning's that worth how much? It's like not that much. It's just they didn't get it done. There's a lot of other things they could have got done this game. It's just they put up 24 points. There's other teams. We just talked about Minnesota. They didn't do that. They didn't come anywhere near that. There's still a quarterback problem. I think that's the glaring issue with, especially with Minnesota, where you could really pinpoint it. That's if you'd solved this from last year, it was that, and then we put this in, and then oh no, this is what we get back.
And remember, this isn't a situation of a bunch of guys are hurt or there was never a strength on the offense. Justin Jefferson had, what was it, 2 receptions for 4 yards? I mean, that has to be one of the worst games, statistically wise, for him of his entire career. How can you not get it to Jefferson? I mean, for sure, the other team kind of knows that, but it's not like Jefferson's the only guy. But if you're a quarterback and you aren't able to get it to someone like Jefferson, like that type of athlete, you got a long way to go, buddy.
It's gonna be a rough season. We're in December, so it's like game time now for a lot of these teams. But for some of these teams, it's just when's the draft? How many more of these weeks do we have left? Like we got to do this again. Who are we putting out there this week? Like just imagine this Minnesota situation, just deeper down.
This is actually this is going to work out really well because I was just thinking, talking to the Vikings. Vikings were good last year. They were good last year until they got to the playoffs or the last week, and Darnold absolutely turned into a pumpkin. Well, now he's on Seattle. He's playing pretty well. I don't think they've had nearly the same success the Vikings had. Do you think he has learned? Do you think the coaching around him is different? Or do you think that Seattle could be good and then all of a sudden they're going to make it to the playoffs and Darnold's going to turn into a pumpkin again?
I think Darnold is really good at fantasy football and is aware that if you have Justin Jefferson on your team or if you have Jackson Smith and Jigma on your team, you got a chance to be a pretty good quarterback. And that's it. Like you just give him enough time and you have one of those guys and you get this. Is it that simple? Because I think it might be. I don't know what else you could pinpoint to other than is it him? There's a lot of more inconsistencies with him. When you put those sort of recipes together, there seems to be double-digit win seasons. Maybe not playoff wins, but that's pretty good. I mean, some of these teams.
How much would the Vikings right now like to be winning games and not having just absolute meltdowns where the defense is just destroying like crazy?
I mean, I wrote down they were just defensive gifts to Seattle. Like they were just gifts. They just ran them to the house. The excellent field position. It was bad. It was bad. It was there was too many of them that there was no expectation of them to have any chance to win that game. Like, of course you lost at 26-0. You should be down by that much after making that many mistakes and those sort of mistakes. It's not great. It's not great for this next matchup here either. Tennessee Titans at the Cleveland Browns. I mean, who needs the number 1 draft pick more here?
Well, they both drafted a bunch of quarterbacks this past draft, and that has not panned out yet. I would be very concerned if I was Cam Ward with Myles Garrett on the other side and the way that team's been playing. Because it's one thing in basketball when you're bad and, oh man, we lost by a bunch of points and boy, was that embarrassing. When Myles Garrett is chasing you, he can legally hit you. Like he can't go to jail. He can just hit you like almost as hard as he can, and just over and over again. I don't want to be Cam. I don't want to be Cam behind that line. They have been just extra bad.
Yeah, I'll take Cleveland as well. I don't want to watch this game. All right, next game. Washington Commanders at the Minnesota Vikings. I think we've spent enough time talking about how bad the vibes are for Minnesota. They're not looking any better in Washington. Are we also just packing up? Are we just looking at the draft here? What are their expectations?
I think I think yes. Disappointing with Jaden getting hurt. I think there's still a possibility he could come back. It might be a little bit of a smokescreen, but they they took the Broncos to overtime yesterday. Mariota made some really bad decisions, and I just think that what I saw out of the Vikings these past few weeks, it doesn't matter if it's was it Brosmer, it doesn't matter if it's him or if it's JJ McCarthy. That I just think the Commanders came into this year, they just have better. I want to say even like team structure because I think that the Vikings were good last year. Just when the quarterback play is this terrible, like, do you think Justin Jefferson is practicing extra hard this week and going, man, I can't wait to play football on Sunday? No, no, it's like impossible to have a good attitude about this, knowing you're going to be out there and you are not going to get the ball, and it's going to be very frustrating. So I'm going to go with the Commanders.
I'm still going to go with Minnesota. I just think they played so bad that this has to be a bounce back game. And the Commanders, I don't know if they're trying to win. I don't know what Minnesota's really trying to do at this point either. Like both these teams are not where they thought they would be, and now it's do or die. Are we going this direction or that direction? I think Minnesota was just so bad that they have to come back and play better, and they're at home, and there's also talent potentially on this team too that I think they could trick everyone into. And I don't really like what the Commanders are doing over there. I mean, that was a fine game. Bail out Bo. It doesn't take much. They were part of it. They're going to be part of the reason why Minnesota wins this week. Next game, Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets. What more can we say about this game? All right, it was a crazy kick for the Jets. Congratulations. They win. Miami wins. They beat New Orleans. Now they're going to play each other. One of these teams is going to have a win streak, Zach.
Unbelievably. But yes, you are correct.
Any other notes? Welcome back, Waller. That's all I'm saying. It's fine. There's nothing else to talk here.
My only concern is that it's going to be cold in New York, real cold, not just cold for Miami. But I got to go with the Dolphins. I don't even think the Jets really want to win. Like last week was a mistake, and so they're Miami's going to win.
I got Miami as well. Next game, New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay won. Like, there's something about the train moving, but it's just not moving as fast. There's something on edge with Tampa Bay that's a little bit more uncomfortable. Hopefully, this is kind of a get-right game and not just a terrible trap game that New Orleans kind of oddly competitive in most games. That if you don't take care of the ball, they're kind of on top of a lot of stuff here. I'm still going to take Tampa Bay, but how worried are you about the Buccaneers?
I'm worried about Baker. He gets KO'd last week. And I figured for sure, shoulder, AC joint, non-throwing arm, but I saw him come out of the game, and he kind of prides himself on being a tough guy. So it wasn't any sort of, he's just kind of milking this for attention. It was, okay, he's really hurt. He's going to be out for a few weeks, and they're going to need to figure this out. Can they get Jameis back in there somehow? I don't know if that's even possible, but that would be fun. But then we'd find out he was playing, and then, I mean, wasn't stellar, but he was still running around. He was still doing his thing. So I was impressed by that. I think this will be nice of playing at home against the Saints. So I'll go with the Buccaneers, but I think the Baker MVP Bucks going to have a top seed. I think that died a few weeks ago at the layest.
Well, they were supposed to be dominant in this division. They're far from that. So they're better than New Orleans though. So like we're gonna take Tampa this week.
I will be taking Tampa, yes.
Whose injury is more concerning? The Daniel Jones, who does he have, a legit fracture in his fibula? Or whatever Baker's got going on?
I will say more the Colts, just because they were the 1 seed. They later in the year jumped out. Or maybe the Bucks jumped out first few weeks. The Colts were ahead, the first, in the first 2 months. So if Daniel Jones is hurt and can't continue this run that he's been on this year, I think there's just been higher expectations for the fans.
They have to split these games with Jacksonville. So next game, Indianapolis Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars. they're going to play the Jags 2 more times this year, I believe, right? I think that's how the Colts schedule goes. Like,
yeah, kind of odd.
It's not the easiest schedule, because especially because Jacksonville arguably is one of the hotter teams in the league right now. I can't believe I'm saying that. I still hate that team. But if you're Indianapolis, like you said, I think we have to split these games if we're going to have any chance of this going right. And it's going to take a little bit more than that. But this might be the game you have to win. And they were competitive against the Houston game. I wouldn't say it's like they're just completely sinking, but what's obviously concerning, and I don't think it takes much memory to remember this, this isn't the first time the Colts have sunk and just not made the playoffs. Like, that happened within a year or two ago, did it not? Did it happen last year? There was a year.
It was
recently, right?
Recent memory. Yeah.
So if I'm a Colts fan, that's terrifying, because that's one of those things of like, all right, that's like worst case scenario. You need to stop thinking about it. It probably won't even happen. And then it happens. And now that's a possibility that's actually become a reality. You just worry about it repeating. You got to split these games with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I don't actually think are that good. So I'm going to take the Colts this week, despite the sinking feeling. I'm taking the Colts. I'm going to try to force a win out of all of this. Tell me why you're picking Jacksonville.
Oh, I'm not picking Jacksonville. I think it's because I hear every week from certain somebody how bad they are. So I think I might be getting tricked at this point, since seeing as they're 8-4. But I just think the Colts have beaten better teams. The Jaguars wins, not this past week, but there's been just some more fluky things that are happening. I think I can't remember what podcast I was talking about, Trevor Lawrence, that the way that he plays is just that it is either up or down, but like the reverse of how the rest of the team is doing. So like if the team is doing well, that's when he throws interceptions. And if the team isn't doing well, that's when he kind of locks in. It doesn't make any sense. But I think the Colts are going to win this. I think it's going to be tight.
Cracked fibula, huh? Think you could do it?
I'm trying to decide on all the lists of injuries. Well, what kind of crack are we talking? Are we doing just like a slight fracture, like Aaron Rodgers, or like what? Well, what's the level? Like,
you know what? To my understanding, the idea is that they're all hairline fractures. Are they not all hairline? That there's bigger? Like, have you heard another?
Oh, compound.
All right, well, that
compound
sounds,
where it's breaking out the skin and it's real bad.
Yeah, that sounds bad. Anything other than that sounds.
That's at the other end.
It's not.
Well, you mentioned you mentioned the Colts possibly not making the playoffs, and it sounds a little ridiculous where they're 8-4, but check out this schedule that they have this week: at the Jags, at the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Jaguars, and the Texans. That is a rough way to finish the year.
They have to split the games with Jacksonville to even have a chance. So, like, if you're looking at it, it's this game and that game, right? Like, we need one. You're going to need another one, but I think those are the ones you're going to have the best chance at. On that schedule, don't you agree? Like, our opinion of Jacksonville's not great. So they get to play them twice. There's arguably a chance that it's like, all right, we get to play them twice. This could be great. Unless you lose this game, and then it's bad. Then it's like, now they have confidence, and maybe they own us, and that's not good.
They lost 3 of their last 4, but you could definitely turn that around if you already made the joke about, hey, what's an almost win? But the last 3 losses all under 1 possession, so they haven't got blown out yet. So does that help you at all?
Just wait for Jacksonville to make a mistake. It's going to happen. It's going to be fine. All right, both got the Colts. Next game, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. There should be a relief in knowing the truth that this is just over. This is still an overachieving team, but it's over. And both of them should take a hard look in the mirror, because right now we're not very good. And I think that's obvious by both of these teams. I don't think you can make any argument. Do you think either of these teams are still good?
The Ravens still scare me, but I think it's just because I know all the names. But from this past week, going against the Bengals defense and not being able to score, we just saw the Patriots didn't even play well, but we're still able to put up some points on the Bengals. We've seen it before, and thinking, hey, Lamar is still the guy. They still have Derrick Henry, and 14 points. That's not good.
It's still less concerning than what Pittsburgh's got going on. I don't know what quarterback's starting. I don't know if they're better off with one than the other. And even when it just felt like magic when it was happening. It's not reliable. I'm still going to go with Baltimore at home, but I'm not threatened by either of these teams. These are false hope teams.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ravens just because it seems like Aaron Rodgers is banged up, and as soon as Mason Rudolph comes in, I just know this game's over.
Next game, Cincinnati Bengals at the Buffalo Bills. Should we light up the cigars? Are they going to do it again this week?
Well, come on, come on. He's not just lighting up cigars for Thanksgiving Day wins. That was a national championship that he won there. So this was there's not gonna be cigars to light, and it's gonna be because it's a game in December, and because the Bills are gonna win this at home. This is one of the this is on the schedule at the beginning of the year. You would have looked at it and thought, oh, this could be, two double-digit teams and wins. This could be, AFC East preview, and the season has not gone the direction either one of these would like, and even more off the rails for the Bengals. But I have to imagine they had to be happy seeing Burrow back.
I agree with everything you said. And if you're the Bills, I agree. I picked the Bills. All right, it's cold time. It's time for the win. This is when you guys focus and the other teams fall apart. But that being said, Burrow's got a chance to take down Lamar and then Josh Allen the next week. And the guy just might just be a slayer. He might just be like a dragon slayer that's just going to come out and do some crazy things. I didn't think they were going to be as effective as they were last week. And we weren't high on Baltimore. I think we just confirmed they're not very good. But kind of right off the bat, Burrow's just like suddenly a threat. The guy's good. We'll see what happens here. Buffalo's been very vulnerable. If they could fall down early in the first half, that they're vulnerable to losing. I'm still going to go with Buffalo, but you might see a cigar lit up at the end of this, is what I'm saying. All right. You might see one back-to-back weeks. This guy's just back in. Any chance at all? I can't sway you into it. I don't want to do it either. That's probably a bad sale.
I just don't think so. But it did look really good last week. But there's something that just one of these top guys missing the playoffs. But I just don't see how even 2 out of 3, or even possibly, it's a long shot, that 3 out of 3. But at the beginning of the year, it was a long shot that that it wouldn't be all 3 of them in the playoffs.
The quarterback position is supposed to be so overvalued, or more value than any other position, and here are the 3 that kind of figured it out. And you could throw Mahomes in there too. Those are all the ones you wish you had.
That's the 3, yeah: Mahomes, Lamar, and Allen.
You could throw Burrow in there too. I'd say that would be a 4.
Oh, the 4th, yeah.
And the only reason I bring up Burrow is, how many years are they going to come out with these sort of injury excuses? Like, at some point, is it not on you a little bit? Like, it just keeps happening, and it's every year.
Well, last year was the defense, and this year coming in was the defense. So if we could put it, we could split it up between the 2.
All right, so we both got Buffalo. Couldn't do it. Next game, Denver Broncos at the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know. Bailout Bo just gets bailed out every time. I have no other takes. I have no other opinion. I hate Denver. They continue to win. They're going to win again this week, and I'm going to have the same attitude next week. You got anything to add? Like, I have nothing. The Raiders, what a nice catch by Bowers, right? Is that the highlight we got to talk about?
Amazing catch. It should have mentioned the Treylon Burks catch for the Commanders. The Odell Beckham style, one-handed, guy draped all over him. Yep, Bowers' catch was awesome, but the Broncos keep winning. They keep finding a way by any means necessary, and I don't think that they're going to need to bail out Bo this week against the Raiders.
No, they're probably not. Next game, Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers. I think the NFL's jumped the shark. All right, this is like once you start getting to multiverse storylines, it's all over. All right, this season is over the top. I can't believe the Bears are the first team in the NFC. Am I in the same universe still? Are we still here?
Yes, we're still here.
We're still here. I don't know.
We're still here. Ben Johnson is a good coach.
I don't feel comfortable with it. It's not, doesn't feel right. I've seen this team. My eyes have seen this team play. I know what the other teams are capable of and what this team is. It doesn't make sense. I don't want to hate on Caleb Williams. I think there is a lot of hate. Some of it was deserving. At this point, I don't know if there's credit to be given, but I just kind of am not ready to give it. Is that fair? I'm not ready to give it. It's in December.
That's fair. They are similar to the Patriots, where the schedule has been very favorable to them. They are on a 5-game winning streak. The first 4 were Bengals, no Joe Burrow, Giants. I don't remember if that was. I gotta imagine that was Jackson Dart at that point. At the Vikings, we've talked enough about the Vikings today. Steelers, but the Eagles one. The Eagles one's the legit one. Like, we have the Bills one. That's our legit one. So it's just kind of the most recent but it just seems like they're going to get tripped up at some point. I think that we also a few weeks ago were thinking, I don't know about Green Bay, but Green Bay has won three games. Yeah, has won 3 games in a row, and that same Giants, Vikings, but then the Lions. I think at the Lions is legit Thanksgiving, but I think this week Packers are at home. I think that just at some point the Bears are gonna stumble. They're gonna stumble, and I think it's gonna be this week.
I'm gonna go with the Packers as well. It's more of just balancing out reality. It doesn't seem possible. I will say, as critical as I want to be of all these teams for almost missing the playoffs, it seems like on the other end of the spectrum, I should give the Bears a ton of credit for being very close to making it now. Like, you've put yourself in an incredible position. This is as good as this season could have gone. They are overachieving, and perhaps all of the moves, all of the offseason, all of the stuff has actually worked out, which seems crazy. Oh man, I this whole division gives me anxiety of just trying to decide who's going to be good this week and who's going to be bad, because they're all just shaky wins. I'll go with the Packers in a very shaky game. I don't feel good about it, but that just seems like what you're going to get in this division. Next game, Los Angeles Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, they didn't even make it to the fitting to put the crown on. I mean, we crowned this Rams team for 1 week, and then they blew it. Who'd they lose to this week?
Immediately. The Panthers.
And the sad thing about the game is that they played well enough to win. This wasn't like, oh, we just didn't have our day. It was like, no, that was 28-31. This was like a legit game. They tried in, some things worked, some things didn't work, and they got beat by the Panthers. So in a league where we're supposed to be like, yeah, the Bears are now number one. This team was number one the week before. We'll probably crown the Packers next week after they beat the Bears. Who's who? Is this team actually good in the Rams?
I think the Rams are legitimately good. I think that maybe the Panthers are just better. They start off 0-2, losing to the Jags and the Cardinals, but Jags, they're up towards the top. Cardinals disagree with, but they just started so weak. So you kind of have this in your head of, oh, this team's not good, not good. But now they're over 500, and this was a big win. But I think this week, I think that the Rams get back on track. You're not going to catch me picking the Cardinals, even though they're at home, even though they're sticking with Brissett. This is my lock of the week.
I'll go with the Rams. I won't lock it. They lost to the Carolina Panthers, and you're not going to convince me that Bryce Young is somehow going to be one of the better off quarterbacks in the league. I watch all these other leagues. There's some really bad quarterbacks, but he just seems like one of them. He doesn't seem better than them. That seems scary to accept all of that. All right, next game, Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. They have officially have my attention, the Texans. All right, this is the real test, though. All right, can you take out the killer? Can you take out a real killer here? Can you end the Kansas City Chiefs? You can just get rid of it all right now. Can they do it?
I don't think they can. I want to zag, but I don't want to steal it from you. But CJ Stroud came back, but maybe if it was Mills. But I think it's just because I just haven't seen enough from Mills. I really don't think that Mills is actually better than Stroud, and clearly the team doesn't either. But I keep getting into these ruts, but I can't pick against Mahomes and the Chiefs, even though they're only 500 and the Texans are hot right now. But it's Mahomes and the Chiefs.
The Texans are hot and they just lost to the Cowboys. They lost to the Cowboys. They got a Bears.
The defense has been awesome. I hear you.
I'm worried. The Texans are hot right now. I've tried to deny the Texans as being good, but they have my attention. They beat the Colts at a legit win. And depending on your opinion of a broken fibula quarterback over there, Indiana Jones, it still felt like a really legit win that I feel a lot more comfortable with that team than I do with what I saw out of Kansas City last week. And that just seems crazy to say because on paper, it's still everything. It's still Andy Reid and Mahomes and Rashee Rice had like a huge game and they still didn't win. Crazy stuff. I think they're going to get it right this week too. I'm in denial. Like this is the denial, right? This is it. This is the one where we should have went with the Texans and we're just in denial. It's all right. Well,
probably.
Next stage, next step next week. All right. Next game, Philadelphia Eagles at the Los Angeles Chargers. We talked about problems on every team. Why do the Philly problems just feel bigger than anyone else's problems?
I think it's because the fans are just crazier.
Is that it? Is it just the media getting blown up by fans?
Well, and I can't remember the exact stat, but it's something like they have the second most halves of any team that they just haven't scored in an entire half. So it's just when it goes off the rails, It's not. This wasn't a great half. This was a terrible half, like worst in the league type of half for this sort of offense where a majority of the guys are the same guys as last year. So just how do you have these droughts? It's not. And it's not like the whole offense is falling apart. So you'll have just a week last week. They scored 21 in the first half and then 0 in the second half. Just Jekyll and Hyde all the way around.
It doesn't make sense. It's the same roster. It's the same everything. Nothing's changing from that half to the other half. And the weird thing is it's not always that order, too. Sometimes they're bad in the first half and good in the second. Sometimes they're only good in the first half and they disappear for like 3 weeks, and then they're good in the first half again. It's very concerning, but it's also at this point, are you picking the Chargers? Because I don't want to pick the Chargers.
No, I don't want to pick the Chargers, but if the Chargers beat the Eagles, where the Eagles fans, they're going to travel. That is going to be a home game for the Eagles. If they can't win that one, there's going to be some real panic setting in there.
Is this
There's
possibly
going to be some, why is Sirianni here? What is happening? Even though he just won a Super Bowl, and it's kind of crazy. I think that there's a lot of smoke right now, and if they lose the Chargers, especially if it's not close, there's going to be a fire that is just raging.
Whew. Let's yeah, I don't know what to root for in this one. I hope the Chargers make that almost possible and then blow it at the end. Is probably what's going to happen here. The Philly will come back in some miraculous fashion and all will be well. But for that entire game up to that point, everything you just said is like on the table. So this might be another one. We're just in denial. Are we in denial? Like the Chargers just beat this team. It's like, why do we keep picking Philly?
Because they just won the Super Bowl last year, and you can name half the guys that are the same from last year, just off the top of your head.
Yeah, a lot of jersey sales. A lot of names with jersey sales. Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of it. It's why we're picking Philly this week. What are we picking for bets this week?
All right. Well, I forgot as we were going through, but mine is going to be Colts money line, minus 134. Trying to get back on track.
And I will take the Dallas first half, plus 130. Exciting
Sticking
week.
with those first halves.
I haven't missed yet, so I'm kind of.
I like it.
I'm gonna go until I miss.
Found something.
Sal on the Simmons podcast was the one who always nailed this. He was like, you do the underdog in the first half, and you pick the other one to win the money line in the game, and like it like evens out on like on these sort of games where you know who's the better team, but you know who might not take the first half seriously. Is that all college sports? College sports are way harder.
I don't know. Sometimes it's gambling's hard. Gambling's hard in all the sports.
College football seems to be hard. Head coaching college football teams seems to be hard. The Lane Kiffin story, it seems inevitable. I think we have to discuss it. There's so many levels to this that have to do with the current status of the league, and are we just firing too many coaches to make these sort of things possible? Do we need like a window to not allow this to be possible? Can we ever actually police that window of tampering? Is there a better way to do this is really what I'm saying? Or do we need to just kind of accept that this is the way things are going to be? Coaches are going to be jumping ship everywhere else they go, getting fired. Positions are going to open up. Early bird guys are going to have the advantage of getting the good jobs because who's going to wait? Why should any good team, any good school wait? It all makes sense, and yet it all seems broken at the same time. Do we have any solutions, any ideas, any real issue here?
It was a lot of drama, specifically with Lane. It's the way that it works right now. We're going to see the same thing after conference championships. We're in December, the semester is ending, both for the athletes and for the regular students. So if you want to start deciding what's happening next for you, you have to make your move now, even though these playoff games aren't starting until it's kind of in between the semester. But basically, the semester has ended. So we're going to see a bunch of guys that are transferring, putting their name into the portal, and it seems too early. But that's just the way that this lines up as college football has just expanded and become more popular. It doesn't end in the first semester. Rick Pitino came out and had some thoughts on it. I kind of understood where he was coming from comparing it to basketball, but basketball just works out a little bit easier where the season ends in April. That's before the semester ends. So it's natural after that okay, now it just kind of naturally moves on. but I think there are some parallels. I I kind of opted out of the Lane Kiffin story. It seemed like it was swirling for a while that he was going to leave, that LSU was where he's going to go. It might have been Florida was in the mix. It's just, it seems like Lane is the type of guy that enjoys the drama. And I just kind of didn't want to give any fuel to that fire when it was just speculation until something actually happened where, it finally actually happened. There's a lot of different news nuggets that are getting thrown out there. There's the picture of his clothes that it said that those are his clothes, and LSU just took them out of his closet and put them on the street. Seems a bit much, but sure. I saw the video of Ole Miss fans at the airport outside where his jet was and flipping off the jet. I don't know if Lane was there or not, but Ole Miss is not a football powerhouse. I think things are changing, but still, you get the opportunity to go to LSU. LSU won a national championship not that long ago. They're a known product, and I think we've been seeing this for years. Like, this isn't new.
I'm more shocked that this is what LSU chose. Is that fair to say? Why did LSU want this?
I think it's because Lane is the hottest coach right now.
Because he's won nothing?
Because of what he's done with Ole Miss.
Okay. When do they I mean, this isn't nice, but I'm just saying I'm not sure that this is the right guy for the job here, right?
This is the best season Ole Miss has the college, like the university has ever had. Not since, the 1940s or something, ever. And he was able to do that there. And he's been around. I mean, it's definitely interesting going to the, staying within conference, but the SEC, arguably, for a long time has been the best conference. Ohio State won last year. Ohio State looks like they're going to be in the driver's seat to win again this year. They're not in the SEC, but just I think Alabama was winning for so long, and LSU was in the mix there. Did you have someone in mind?
I didn't. I would probably even argue that they downgraded. They should just kept the damn guy, and they couldn't have, and that's just a ridiculous setup of all of this. But this is
that Ole Miss should have kept Lane Kiffin, or LSU should have kept Brian Kelly.
LSU should have kept Kelly. I think.
Okay.
I only say that just because I agree Kiffin is the hottest candidate that you could have had out there. But if you're LSU, it's purely coaching why this year went wrong? Like, you guys you're one of the few, blue bloods, as you would say. Like, you're one of the few big powerhouses. You're one of the few guys that drive the really perfect car. Like, not everyone can get that car. Like, Ole Miss doesn't drive that car. You know what I mean? Like,
I think one of the issues, I don't think that LSU and Brian Kelly were a good fit. Right from as soon as he left Notre Dame and he got there, and he all of a sudden sort of had a Louisiana accent, and I think right from the jump, it wasn't a good fit.
All right, but are we trying to win the game here still? Because this is also a guy that has jump shipped how many times here, and this is going to happen to you. And I'm not sure whose side is right on whether or not he should be allowed to coach the rest of the year. I understand denying him. I understand allowing him. There's who has a stronger alliance is really in the decision of all this. Do you have more faith in the current players or the next players? Like, there's too many loyalties to honor in this system that it just doesn't seem right. Especially that you said Ole Miss is celebrating a season that they just haven't had and probably won't have for a while, and that just seems crazy too. That doesn't seem like what we want out of college football. This seems way more like an entertainment business with more free agents than stages, and it's not good. It's not good. I don't know how you save coaches' jobs, but we need to have less firing so that we have less, turnover like this. And I don't know how you ever fix that, because if we're going to have the standards that we have right now and had this season, this is just the start of it. Like, this is going to be every year. Do you have any reason why this won't be every year?
I think that Lane has slowly rebuilt his image to be at like such a level. I don't think there's always just this guy out there that premier teams are going to say, we got to have this guy, because a good chunk of this too is it's a money situation. There's no salary cap or anything like that. It's when you go to your boosters and say, hey, we want this guy. Will you pony up the money? And if it's, some analytics nerd that they don't particularly like, they're going to say, nope, keep the current guy we have. I don't want to pay any more. But if you have someone like Lane that is electric right now. And the guy says, "Yeah, I'll pony up the money." I'm like, all right, let's go, let's do it.
It just seems crazy to me that that's in a relationship in which you've shown you'll have the axe against somebody if you lose a couple, and he'll show he has the axe to leave if things open up. It just those are the two that are going to get together after like that seems like a disaster.
But I think both of them at this moment, that is not the way they're thinking. They're thinking, looking at it, and Lane's thinking, if I have that NIL budget with my coaching ability, with those resources, I'm going to be able to use the LSU brand to win a national championship, to vault me to the next level. Where LSU is looking at it going, this is the guy. This is the guy that's going to get the best talent in here, and that's what's going to get us a national championship. They're not looking at what happened before, what happened with other coaches. It's right now. They can make it happen.
Maybe I'm being naive. I can't imagine LSU's talent pool is suddenly going to rise that much higher. I just out of respect of the college school of football, I don't think they get good talent. They get good draft picks. There's lots of receivers, players all over LSU. It just doesn't seem like this guy should be the one that takes them over the top is insane to me. And that they're any idea of that just seems wrong. And they're gonna be odd. I think they're gonna be disappointed if that's what it is here. Like I think whoever the next coach is going to be, this LSU program is going to improve. This was a fluke year. This was a good team that wasn't supposed to have. We had different expectations. They lose a couple in a row, and we throw out the entire season, and they start over next year. We're supposed to be like, oh, they're going to be so much better next year. It's like, just don't make a couple bad mistakes. Every team's going to say that. You don't need to fire the coach and ruin it a couple other schools and make the college playoff a little weird now for who knows what reasons. And it seems so messy for no reasons, and nobody feels like they're significantly better off. Nobody. That's the worst part about all this. I don't feel like anyone hit a home run in any of this.
I think if you talk to an LSU fan today, I think they think that they are much better off.
Really? All right. Maybe I just have the wrong opinion on Kiffin.
I think they're excited.
Maybe I'm just underestimating the guy. I would have thought for the treatment of the guy that's moving around and bouncing around like he has and has the history that he has, there would just be a little bit more rings on the finger, you know? I don't know. It's right. No, is that fair?
I think that especially where it's only been a 12-team playoff for a while, and for the majority of the time, it was two teams decided by a computer up at the top. So I think if you're only going to go based off of who has won national championships, that list is going to be awfully short, especially in the past few years when both in basketball and in football, we've had a lot of, I'm going to call it the old guard has retired, whether that was just they're getting older or because now NIL has really changed the game up. You know, that's an argument.
Is he new game or old game, Kiffin? Or is he like that perfect hybrid? Is that what everyone's so high on?
I would say he'd be closer to a hybrid where understood the old system, but is ready to take on the challenge of this new system.
That might be the biggest pitch on why you do it then. Because I don't think there's that many guys just that fit those eras. Like it's purely just his journey. Like there's just not the other candidates like that. Nobody's got a resume like that. It's weird and it's exciting, and it's a way more exciting story than any of the actual rivalry weeks game here. Was there a good game this week? I mean, Ohio State kind of beat up Michigan. That was, I wouldn't say a lame game. I mean, just could have been a little bit more exciting. Is there any juice in some of these games?
Texas upsetting A&M. Game didn't come down to the wire or anything, but A&M was definitely favored. Hadn't lost yet this year. They didn't lose bad enough for anything like that to get out of the playoff, but it does knock them out of the SEC championship. Yeah, well, yeah, Ohio State. It was funny though when Michigan starts leading in that game, where I think there were a lot of Ohio State fans looking around, going, "You got to be kidding me! Like this can't happen again." And then Ohio State. It didn't take much to just pretty much what I thought was going to happen last year of, okay, we're done messing around. Now we got the better players. We're the better team. We're just going to turn it on. And that's exactly what they did. I think the other underrated one, it was on late at night, so probably a lot of people missed it, but Cal upset SMU. And it's not so much that part, is that means that now the 7-5 Duke Blue Devils are going to be in the ACC championship game. And I think they're still massaging these rules on who gets in. I thought it was the power conferences. Whoever won the conference got in, but I think there might be some sort of like a just in case rule for just this situation of like if Duke wins, then like no ACC school is going to be in the 12. I don't know what the rule is. I'm still trying to kind of figure that out. But just a bizarre situation with Clemson being so bad, with Miami getting tripped up, and it just seemed like every ACC team that kind of got their footing then lost at like the worst time or got upset somewhere. So yeah, definitely bizarre. But it just sets up for an excellent conference championship weekend this week.
It's a story we haven't told before. Hey, look, ACC football is being represented in the NFL, right? Daniel Jones, Drake May, they're out there, they're having some success, right? That's okay.
I've heard of those guys.
Yeah, we know those guys. We know these schools. They're not basketball players. They don't play in the NBA. Play in the NFL. What was the last good college football game you saw, though? I was trying to think about this a little bit, and I looked. There's a bunch of good matchups this past week. It fell a little short to me. I watched more than I wanted to, and I wanted it to be better, and it just wasn't. And then to hear all the Lane Kiffin stuff, it's just crazy to me that the standard that these schools are playing at when I watch the talent level of these teams out here. It's like, I can't believe we're firing people over what the potential of these schools are. Like, it's good. It's not great. It's not the NFL. Like, they're going to make mistakes, and we're just changing lives over a lot of things over unreliable rosters here, and very young rosters on some of these teams. I don't know what the best way to do any of this is, but what was the last good college football game you saw? Because I'm a little worried that the quality, it's getting weird.
I think if you are really looking to, I'm going to call it, have an open mind on this. This past week, you have rivalry week, so the rivals are always at the same level. Last week, that's like everyone getting ready for the rivalry week, so there's very few more premier matchups. So I'd have to go back, a couple of weeks. But this week, if you are really looking to say, like, okay, I'm going to give this like an actual shot, and it's going to be tough because we're going to have a lot of good college basketball this week. But, you got the deal screens. You're going to have Georgia, Alabama at 4:00. That's number 4, Georgia, number 10, Alabama. Line is Georgia 2.5. Followed by at 8:00, you'll have Indiana at Ohio State. Indiana and Ohio State, both undefeated. They're both going to come to play. Ohio State's favored by 4.5. So if you watch those two games and come away and say, I don't know about the quality of product and kind of have that going for it, then there's just nothing that's going to do it for you for this. Just keep watching on Sundays.
I can't wait for college basketball this week. It's going to be a good week. Are we done with football? I'm excited for that.
We're done.
I did it. I really did football, right? I watched, I talked, we did it. We're at an hour right now. Extra bonus podcast for everybody. All because of Lane Kiffin. He even affected our lives. I'm so excited for college football or college basketball. Very, very excited. It's been a fun season so far. We have lined up
Now, are you excited because of the lineup? Are you excited because of the lineup this week? Or are you excited because Feast Week kind of disappointed?
Well, I feasted. I was all right. I did. I'm with you, though. I could use a little bit more madness, a little bit more chaos. I could use some more double overtime, some more comebacks, some more bounce backs of all this. But in the meantime, though, I do feel like I'm getting to know a lot of these teams. And what do we got? 10 games here? Top 10 games we got this week? We're going to make some picks on them?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, all right. So first one here, Auburn at Arizona. You got the days and times? Is that possible to add this? I do not.
Yeah, I can find that.
Well, I think Auburn's actually a very underrated team. Arizona might have the best resume in college basketball. Very, very impressive with the wins that they had, especially on the road for some of them. But I think it's a little bit spicier of an Auburn team. They were very good in the past, so it's hard to say that they're anything more than they were last year. But I kind of like them. I kind of like this Auburn team. It's going to be a tough uphill road, though, against Arizona here. What time are they facing Arizona?
So this is actually going to be really good. So we're going Katz's top 10 games of the week, and we're going from 10 to number 1. This game's 10. This game is also going to be at 10 o'clock on Saturday. So still a top 10 matchup, but this is going to be at the very end. So just when you think like you've watched all the college basketball, you're probably finishing up that Ohio State-Indiana game, you're still going to get a premier matchup here, and it is going to be a good one.
I think Arizona's going to win at home. I think this isn't your typical Arizona team, and a typical Arizona team would lose this game. I think they're a little bit better. Maybe a lot better. They might actually be a threat. I don't know if they're a real contender or not, but I just am a little bit more impressed with the wins they already have. That this seems like this one should be less valuable than some of the ones they already have. So unless they're suddenly going to get worse or Auburn's going to get a lot better, I'm going to pick Arizona in this one.
I am also going to go with Arizona. I mentioned last week, I thought at that point they had the best wins of the year. That has changed since then. But, Auburn, they got Bruce Pearl. His son is there. I'm sure that the organization knew it for a while, but it seems like he's a rookie coach. You got a rookie coach. You're going to a hostile environment. It's it's 10 o'clock our time, but Arizona, that's going to be, prime time. And I think the students will still be there, but I don't think it'll matter whether the students are there or not for a game like this. That place is going to be rocking, especially with how good Arizona's been so far this year.
All right, next game, number 9 game of the week, Illinois versus Tennessee. I liked Illinois. I think we've already talked about them. Tennessee's, I'd say more or less their standard Tennessee. They're tough. They're athletic. They're a big SEC team. I think Illinois is going to take this one. I think they got a little bit more of a skill set. The physicality might be an issue. It generally is when you kind of go from conference to conference here, but I like the skill set in Illinois. I think they have good decision making and some good shooters. The Stojakovic guy, I'm in on the Balkan corner or whatever they're nicknaming in Illinois is. I think it's a really good basketball team. Who you got this week? You going with the SEC? Big Ten.
All right, so this one's going to lead into the game we just talked about. This is our number 9 game. This will be on Saturday at 8:00. I'm going to go with Tennessee.
Really?
I didn't like. I mean, Illinois going to MSG is just a house of horrors for them. It wasn't nearly as bad this year as it was last year. UConn's a good team. UConn will definitely pack in MSG, but you are a big fan of Illinois. I not up to that level. I'm kind of leaning towards Tennessee, and it's kind of like a old school old man take. But I think Tennessee pushes people around, and I think these Europeans coming over, I don't think they're gonna be ready for it. I think they're gonna get pushed around. Tennessee would love to turn this into a football game, and you would think Illinois, Big Ten, like they would also, but I don't think so. The way that Tennessee does it.
I don't. This is a modern European. All right, these are all the guys that are going to be dominating the All Stars.
It's an old school take. I agree.
It's possible. All right, and that has happened in the past. You get physical with the team, you can certainly steal a game here or there. But I don't think it's going to happen. I still like Illinois' shot selection a little bit more than what Tennessee's taken. Speaking of shot selection, next game, number 8, Gonzaga at Kentucky. Gonzaga's just a smooth team. Is there an obvious flaw that I'm missing? Because you look on like KenPom and it's like, all right, there's a few teams you see on like both the offensive and defensive ratings in kind of that upper echelon. They're one of them. I wouldn't say they're the most appealing team, but they make good decisions. They're almost like so boring they're good. I'd say Spurs-esque maybe. Is that too much content? I like Kentucky as well, but I don't think this is their year. I kind of like where Gonzaga's at more right now. I'm going to go with Gonzaga here. And I don't really want to be mean to Kentucky because I already was last week. So why don't you try? Who you got this week?
Oh, I like being mean to Kentucky. That doesn't bother me at all. This game is going to be Friday at 7:00. This is at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. So definitely closer to Kentucky than Gonzaga. But I'm also going to go with Gonzaga. I have seen Kentucky beat up on bad teams with no problem, but so far this year, and kind of a little bit under the Pope era, it's still very early on when it is actually a solid team, or not just solid team, a good team comes in, they haven't been able to handle it. So until they prove to me that they can handle it, I'm gonna go against them.
I don't think this is a bad loss though. I don't want to be stacking on Kentucky losses here. I think if Kentucky, we'll get to them, they play another team. If they lose to the other team later in the list, that's a bigger issue. But Gonzaga is a good team, so I don't think this is anything to over panic about or really overblow.
Is this where we should talk about Michigan and what they did last week?
We can. Everybody seems to be very high in Michigan. I believe KenPom has them at number 1 right now. High on defense, high on offense, number 1 defense. What do you like?
They came in to Feast Week. They were number 15 on KenPom, undefeated. They were number 7 in the AP poll. Hadn't really played anybody all the way up at the top. They played some decent teams. They played Wake Forest. They played TCU. It wasn't all just cupcakes. But then they go in to this feast week. They beat San Diego State by 40. They beat Auburn by 30, and then they beat Gonzaga by 40 points in this players era. I don't know if they were calling it a tournament. I think I accidentally called it a tournament. It wasn't exactly a tournament, and there was no bracket. It wasn't in a traditional sense. I got other thoughts on that, but they are still undefeated. They they have a ton of possessions per game, 102 against Auburn and 101 against Gonzaga. And it's got to be mentioned that they now have the best wins. I know Arizona's had to do some of theirs on the road, but you beat a team like Gonzaga by 40 points. That's Mark Few's worst loss. That's the first time that Gonzaga lost by more than 20. I think since COVID.
I think it's the most points
beat
he's
him
ever
down
given up
sort
in
of
a
situation.
loss. I think it's the most points he's ever given up in a loss.
That would not surprise me either if it just like shattered all of those those bad records that you don't want to have. So for sure early, you don't want to be peaking right now, but any time that you move up 15 spots on KenPom from 15 to I guess 14 spots, but when you move up that high that fast and in 3 games, 1 week span, it definitely has to grab your attention. So I know they're not going to be on this list, but since we're just talking about Gonzaga and what we kind of like about Gonzaga, I'm wondering, is this an issue that Michigan found, or is this Michigan was just red hot this weekend and you can't really worry about it for the other teams?
I'd like to see more from Michigan. I've seen I've seen enough of what out of Gonzaga that I'm not going to worry. I think they're going to be a good tournament team. I mean, Michigan might be an excellent tournament team. I'd like to see more though. Is what I'm saying. I'm not going to over panic into 40-point loss is just as how much of a 1-point loss. It's definitely not how Ken Pond does some math here, but it's on the records. It's only 1 loss here, and if they get a couple other wins, Gonzaga's going to play some big games this week. Then they'll be right back on track here. All right, number 7, Louisville at Arkansas. Louisville certainly a hot school on the grind here. I like the Cal roster this year though. I've seen this team a little up close. I don't want to brag here. Michigan State also beat this team, just taking down the SEC one team at a time. I don't know if the ACC is ready for that, quite ready, but we'll see. What do you got for Louisville here? Is their offense going to be enough to outscore Arkansas?
So Louisville's offense is number 2 on KenPom right now. So I think the offense is what's going to be fine. I think playing on the road is a challenge. But yeah, ACC, SEC challenge should be fun. Hopefully it's a lot more competitive than it was last year. This game is going to be Wednesday at 7:00, so a little midweek. I'm going to go with Louisville. I think that they're the better team. I think playing on the road is going to be difficult, but it might just be some sort of a little bit of wishful thinking, but it's like, this can't just be a blowout where one conference just destroys the other one. There's got to be some more balance, and I think the Cardinals have improved big time from the past 2 years. They're even better than they were last year, and I think that this Cal team isn't one of the dominant Kentucky teams. I think they're going to be decent all year, but they're not a team that is just going to be just a buzzsaw at home.
I don't think they'll ever be a buzzsaw this year, but if they were going to be better, it would be at home. And I'm going to take Arkansas just because of that. I'd like to see Louisville. I think this is a tough place to go into. Talent or not, or the same threat of a Cal roster or not, I still think this is a hard place to get in and out of, especially with some of the talent on the roster here. I'd like to see more out of Louisville. This would be a huge win for them. It was a huge win for Michigan State. I was certainly worried about it. So I'm not going to act like this is not a big feat here or anything. But all right, so we've swapped on that one. Number 6, Missouri versus Kansas. Kansas, is he going to be healthy? Is he back? I don't know how to judge them. And Missouri is just pure defense here, and Kansas is generally not my favorite school. I wouldn't say they're the most exciting school, but they're definitely in the mix. And if the Patterson kid plays, I think they're kind of a lock to win this one here. But maybe I'm underestimating the Missouri defense. Who you got in this one?
This one is going to be Sunday at 1:00, going head to head with football. So that's always fun. I'm going to go with Kansas. I think even though they have to go on the road, I think that Kansas is better. I think it's unfortunate, the best guy is hurt. I don't know exactly when he's going to be coming back. The college injury updates, you don't get nearly as detailed as you do with the NBA, and not exactly like the NBA ones are always super detailed. But I just think either way. I think either way, Kansas is better.
All right, next game, number 5, North Carolina at Kentucky. This is the one Kentucky can't lose. Don't lose North Carolina. I don't think UNC is that good personally, and I think this is a game that we'll learn that. And no real content here. I've seen both these teams play. I've seen the rosters of them. I think Kentucky's just got a little bit more in the tank, and especially at home again, I think that'll make a really big difference here. Are you showing some love to North Carolina?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm going with Kentucky in this one. I've mentioned it this whole time. Playing on the road is hard. This is North Carolina going to Rupp. This is a 9:30 start. A 9:30 at Kentucky start. Everybody in Kentucky is going to have plenty of time to get out of work, have a few adult beverages, and go to the game. I remember when I was in college, what's it, the finals week? It's all sorts of goofy, and if there's a big game like this, you are making sure that you don't have any finals. You got those all taken care of, so you could be at this game. This place is going to be rocking, and yes, I'll take Kentucky in this one.
Yeah, that game's over at halftime. You can go to bed early. Next game, number 4, Florida at Duke. Duke is on the list a few times here. We're already down to the top 4. Must be some pretty big games. How are you doing this week? Are you more worried about one game than another, or is it just one game at a time?
It's always one game at a time. I'm worried about one game more than the other, but we're in a stretch right now. We played a lot of the softer teams, and then played Kansas without the top guy. But Florida is going, as far as I know, they're going to be all the way healthy. We took care of Arkansas on Thanksgiving. Never a doubt there. Nope, that was a bunch of fun for everybody. But yes, we have Florida. Should have been the national championship matchup last year. Unfortunately, it was not. But Florida is going to have to come into Cameron Indoor. There are not a lot of these out of conference games that happen. It's really cool that there's going to be more of these. We'll get to another one of these later. But being actually at the home campuses. But this one's gonna be a lot of fun. I think that Florida has tripped up a little bit this year. The Arizona loss right at the beginning of the year. All right, fine, neutral site, but getting beat by TCU, it's not exactly what you're looking for. They were able to pull away from Providence, but Providence kind of gave them some trouble. It might be a little Thanksgiving, might have been a little bit of a trap game. But I think this is going to be a really good test for Duke. They haven't lost at home in a couple of years, mostly because it's been the ACC hasn't been very strong. So it's just been the cupcakes that show up and that. But no, definitely looking forward to Tuesday, tomorrow. So if you, besides Saturday, 7:00 this, and then 9:30 the Kentucky game we just mentioned, it is going to be fun. Yeah, clear your schedule for tomorrow.
It's going to be fun. Florida's in the top 10 in KenPom defense. So, I don't know if you've really faced a good defensive team. So I'd like to see somebody actually put some good ball pressure on Duke and see what that kind of gets. But on the flip side of that, it's not like you guys are also a top 10 defense and also a top 10 offense. So it's also, I imagine you doing the same to Florida, and it's like, oh no, they're not going to like that either. So I'm going to go with Duke, and purely out of they're going to make you uncomfortable, but I think you're going to make them even more uncomfortable. And this isn't going to be as hot shot of a game as we're hoping for. I think it's going to be kind of an ugly defensive battle. That'll be tight and close, and I see some good basketball lined up here. So number four game of the week. I think that's pretty exciting here. All right, on number 3 game of the week, Louisville versus Indiana. Louisville again on the list here. I don't know how are we allowed to talk about Louisville this many times. Are we sure? It's purely defense or it's purely offense?
Defense.
Is it? I think they're 2 on offense for Louisville.
Oh yeah, offense. No, yeah, they're bringing the offense. I'm distracted by Rick Pitino back in the day in Louisville. No, it's more their offense this year has been fantastic.
Now Indiana is definitely one of the more hotter teams, but I think I'm still leaning a little bit more towards Louisville. But the hate in me is just saying just pick Indiana. So I'm going to go with Indiana just because I don't want the ACC to actually be good. So I think this is one of them where I could always bet against the ACC. So let's do that again. So that
works for you. I'm going to basically do it the same way, go the other way. This game is going to be, again, another Saturday game. Saturday, 2:15. If you just want to stay in your house and watch conference championship football and watch really good, I'm just amazed. It seems like normally this is almost a little bit of a lull where all the teams are coming back from Maui and coming back from the Bahamas. And it's just, we're already hopping into conference head-to-head, conference matchups, and just a lot of really big games. Like there's not one on here that we are forcing on this list.
I think you could argue this will be better in March Madness, these matchups. You're going to see all these teams play each other. There's going to be a lot of good basketball being played. All right, next one on the list, number
I
2.
won't go that far, but you're welcome to.
Well, you don't have this. Not all these teams play each other. All these teams got to play somebody worse. It's not until you advance farther along that they play each other. So it is a little bit of an argument, no?
You could get these matchups. Well, not obviously not these exact matchups,
Yeah.
but there could be stuff like this conference championship week.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
That's in March.
Sure. You're right. All right. I take it back. All right, number 2 on the week, UConn at Kansas. I'm going to go with UConn. Unless the kid's going to start playing for Kansas, I think this is a bit of a trap game. Kansas is I think the UConn's just a bad matchup for them. That's all I'm going to say because I don't want to say more nice things about UConn. It hurts. And then I didn't want to say nice things about Kansas. So what do you got to say?
I think Kansas can pull this out. I think Kansas pull this out. They're at home, and that's kind of just my whole thing. That's gonna be the running theme. Is playing on the road is hard. Playing on the road is hard. It's gonna be tough to do that, especially this early. A lot of these guys, they're transfers. So either you're a transfer or you're a young freshman, but you're going into a hostile environment. This is gonna be good for them. All these teams longer term, but you're just starting off where by the time you get to conference tournament time, you're good, or not conference tournament time. By the time you get into conference play, then you're going to start going to all these places where the fans are all excited to see you and they're going to be crazy. But for right now, you haven't really done that. If you're coming from some of these smaller schools, you're coming from high school, it's not to the same level.
I think the ball pressure that UConn's going to put on Kansas is going to be uncomfortable. Unless that guy, that draft picks Peterson or Patterson or however you say it is going to be playing. I don't think it's going to.
I hope he's back. Yeah. It's just we're all missing out, and we'll get closer. Talk about this more when we get closer to draft time. But the guys coming out of college this year, it's in line with last year. There's some really good guys.
All right, number 1 game of the week, Duke at Michigan State.
Who would have thought the number 1? It wasn't even our list that we made. We took it for somebody else, and they said our teams head to head. Now I know why you want to talk college basketball so much this year.
I feel very good about this. I'm not worried at all. I think this is similar, and I have
not at all.
And I have the same worry that I had earlier of the Duke Florida thing of being like, all right, Duke hasn't faced like a really good defense. Michigan State is gonna put pressure on them, and they haven't seen that yet. And then I flipped it around and it was like, but Duke's gonna be on us. And as good as our offense has been, as confident as I feel like that's gonna give us problems we just haven't faced yet either. And this is going to be another ugly game, but we're going to be at home. And I think if we're ever going to have a good offensive showing against a good defense, it's going to be at home. So I'm more of just leaning that if it's going to be a tight defensive game, then I'm leaning towards Michigan State. I don't think it's a bad loss. I wouldn't be upset if we lost to Duke. I'm not gloating if we did win. I just think this is a good matchup at home that we have a good chance at winning. I'm taking Michigan State, shockingly. I imagine you will have a different outcome here. Perhaps not as many nice things to say about Michigan State, but is there anything that you feel you're going to be able to do? Like, are you going to be able to shut down Kohler? Is it Boozer that I'm just going to be worried about?
I think you definitely have to be worried about Boozer. My question for you is this going to be one of the games where you guys shoot, or is this going to be one of those games where you can't hit anything?
Oh, no, we're going to shoot. This might be one of the games, though, where we just don't shoot until there's 1 second on the shot clock, and it's just very, very long possessions that we're just lulling each other back to sleep. You guys might do the same thing, though. If you do post-game stuff, we could each take our time. I don't think either of these teams are going to be in a rush. Like, you guys going to try and run? You think you're going to run?
We will, on offense, we will try to get out and run, but we are one of the top teams for. Actually, we have to have one of the widest differences on KenPom for average possession length. So on offense, we're 13th. So as soon as we get it, we're trying to score as fast as we can. But then on defense, it's 361st. So if you guys want to shoot at the very last second, will be happy. We'll be happy to do that. But I think just it's early on, but just traditionally, Duke has normally a more talented lineup. Or it's maybe not necessarily more talented basketball-wise, but for sure, more athletic. So usually we are better off if we have more possessions. Just more chances to score, more chances to go. So I think if a team did slow things down, and then you're forced to really play that half court game and it turns into a grind. I think as a younger team, you can get into bad habits. You can get, and it's not even really bad habits, but just you start going, oh, if I just make this three, like we can, we can pay, you try and take big haymakers, and then it just like it gets squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And I have to imagine at noon on Saturday that Michigan State arena is going to be absolutely full. So I would have liked this to be more of a night game, but this is what I got: a noon game against you at your house, and we'll have to see how it goes.
It's going to decide an attitude for such a weekend and such a rest of the day of college basketball. I can't wait. I can't wait till next week though. We're going to come back and we're going to have the results to all of these, and I think we're going to have a really good layout of the landscape of this. Like this is going to be a very defining week. I think we're going to have a really good idea of where everyone sits.
My two just downsides, and it's to no fault of their own, but Michigan had that run last week. They don't really have like one of these premier matchups, as well as Purdue is up at the top, and they're playing Iowa State. I guess that wasn't on our list, but that'd be one to keep an eye on.
I had them as a potential national champ. I mean, again, these teams on KenPom, it's like if you're in the top 10 on offense and defense, how can I not take you seriously? Like the numbers just say, and unless you're playing, in a really bad conference, which I wouldn't say Iowa State is at all, that's very impressive. I would take them seriously.
Yeah, it's a little tricky right now looking at the KenPom numbers, where a lot of the upper echelon teams have played majority, cupcakes. So when you go and look and go, wow, like they're getting a crazy number of rebounds, it's just like, well, yeah. These teams that are playing in these smaller conferences aren't going to see anybody that looks anything like Cam Boozer, where once Cam Boozer goes against Michigan State, it's, oh, okay, these guys are my size, which I think takes a little while. I saw it last year with Cooper Flagg. It takes a little while when you are not just 6 inches taller and faster and stronger than every other guy. You have to actually use your basketball ability, and you might not have had to use that in the past.
I don't know. I think maybe we're disrespecting Iowa State. I mean, they've been consistently a high-ranked seed over the last couple of years. Perhaps not the Final Four threat everyone hoped, but I think they've been a pretty good basketball program. So, like, I'm not shocked to see them on both ends of the KenPom here. Like, that's a pretty good school. That's a school.
Oh boy. That game is also Saturday at noon. So,
oh man,
you have to divide your attention.
I know what I'll be paying attention to.
There's a college basketball overload that I was not prepared for this early in the year, but I am very excited for it.
All right, did we not? Is there anyone we didn't get to in college basketball?
Nope. I think we got a good wraparound, and I agree that we'll have a better idea next week of the directions of these teams.
All right, you get 1 minute with the NBA. What do you want to talk about?
Oh man, just 1 minute.
All right, one topic. I'll give you one. It's your curfew. You tell me.
Well, I don't want to waste it on the Celtics. I guess this is kind of like a open-ended sort of thing, but do you think that there's a legitimate chance that the Thunder could beat the Warriors' win record?
Yeah, no, I do. As good as it, I think there's a lot of good NBA teams. They're just operating at another level, and other teams are just trying to get healthy. Like, there's just so many other problems other teams have that this team doesn't have. I mean, Jalen Williams missed the start of the game, at the start of the season, and it just came back. Like, they're getting better by the games. And the craziest part about it is they're getting better by the games with draft picks to look forward to, and it just seems like everything's going well for them. I don't see any reason to say no. They just seem like they're a well-oiled machine. They're operating well. What's going to go wrong?
It seems like majority of the time that no heroics are even needed. It's just, all right, cool. Like, we got this. You're going in and get into the fourth quarter, and guys are able to take more of a break, especially having the other Jalen Williams or like the main Jalen Williams back. That's a huge help. It's just we are hitting December and they have one loss.
I look, I'm not even saying that they're like a lock to win the championship and that nobody's beating them. Like, they are beatable. But on a regular season, night to night, I don't see anyone else who's got more depth, anyone else who has better defense, better big men, better rotation, better shooting. The MVP who's going to get a couple calls is never going to hurt. Like, there's just, there's a lot leaning their way. And that's not to disrespect that I think Denver's really good. Rockets are really good. I mean, shit, Luka's doing stuff still. You know, Wemby will be back hopefully eventually. There are threats out there. They're just nowhere near to what the Thunder are doing on a night-to-night basis. They got a really good chance to win a lot more games. I mean, who's going to take them down? Like, do you want to you want to pick a team? How many more games? Should we go down the schedule? Maybe that's the next podcast.
Yeah, that'll be next podcast if they're still winning. I'm starting to look it up and go, ooh, where are they on the road? Where are they on a back-to-back? Where are they weak?
Yeah, I don't know. I want to remind everyone to subscribe. Little column A, little column B. You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, as well as our Instagram and Facebook page. You can also follow Zach on his X account, which is
Wicked Z-Man 24.
Peyton Pritchard had 42 last night. Took over.
He sure did.
Did he need some extra time?
Oh, I think he's getting plenty of time. Peyton wants to play all the time.
Yeah, all right. I'm excited for him. All right, it was nice to get a win, a real win. We beat Cleveland. I believe a healthy Cleveland, so nothing but respect for that win. I think that one counts. It was a brutal loss the other day, though, just to watch the crumbling. It's like what the Colts are dealing with right now. I watched the Celtics do awesome things for an entire game, and then it just slowly crumbles and crumbles, and we just can't close. It's really brutal when we have leads and we just watch them disappear. I have no solution for it, and I just don't know where else to vent my pain out of my Celtics fandom here. You have any solutions? Anything I can look up to?
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's almost like we're missing a all-NBA player, an amazing defender, an amazing rebounder, and help's on the way at some point, but I think this is kind of right where we kind of expected to be is, you know, we're 11-9. We've got some good wins. You know, the past 2 out of 3, we've beaten the Cavs. At the Cavs, we beat the Pistons, broke their win streak, but then we also have some real head-scratching losses and some just absolute we cannot finish this game frustrations. So that's kind of what happens with an average team.
It's not going away anytime soon, but there is at least a light at the end of the tunnel that Tatum is coming back. Hopefully this year. We're still in the mix, as much as I don't like our team, and it doesn't seem like we're a real threat at the moment. But, you know, that guy coming back and with everyone else, like, I don't know. We just beat the Pistons without him. Are we supposed to be threatened by that? Is there any little encouragement by that?
Oh, I'm encouraged.
I'm encouraged. All right. We'll be back. Remember to subscribe. Follow Zach on his X account. And we'll be back. I don't know, but the schedule might change next week. You might get 2 podcasts next week. I don't know. We'll see.